What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. My name's Kyle. Today it is January 22nd, Sunday afternoon here. We're going to go over the top waiver wire ads for week 15 of the fantasy basketball season. This is, through January 23rd through the January 29th. So week 15, we're getting closer and closer to the fantasy playoffs for NBA. We have it's almost February, so we're going to have the All-Star game coming up too. So we're kind of right in the middle of the fantasy season. I'm going to hop into a screen share here and show you guys what we're looking at. I always like to pull up hashtag basketball, their advanced schedule grid. I clicked on week 15, and this is going to tell us who has the most games. Looks like Golden State and Oklahoma City Thunder, they only have 2 games this week. So we're going to try and not to pick up these players from these teams. And on the flip side, you do have a handful of teams with 4 games. Now, ideally, you find a team that doesn't have any back-to-backs, or you look for players that, could potentially play in those back-to-backs. But the teams that stick out here, Memphis and Milwaukee Bucks, they have a game, or they have a gap in between every game this week. So they start on Monday, end on Sunday. Grizzlies and Bucks, pretty good players to add this week. Let me look and see if I can find any other teams. The Rockets are close, but they do have a back-to-back there. It does look like those would be the only ones. So Bucks and Grizzlies would be the ideal ads. But again, hashtag basketball, use that to your advantage. And let's get into it. I'm using ESPN, and all I did to start my filters is I filtered by all available players. And then I come over here and I click plus minus. And that's going to show us the players that have been added the most across fantasy basketball leagues. I think it goes the last 7 days. And then to even, show us who's been the hottest player, I'm going to click last 7 days, and that's going to show us their stats. So at the top of the list, you do have Walker Kessler, the starting center for the Utah Jazz right now. He's been playing very, very well for a good amount of time now. So it's surprising to me that still only 28% rostered, but people are finally coming on to him. 15% increase in rostership over the last 7 days. The dude's averaging 38 points per game in fantasy over these days. Walker Kessler, fantastic player. Get him if you're in a 10-man league, I could maybe see him being available. But at this point right now, he's probably tripped most of people's radars. Probably not going to be available, but if you're in a smaller league, Walker Kessler, one of the top ads. I do like Kyle Anderson as well. He's only 23% rostered, and he's averaging 42.5 points per game. Looks like he went on a tear here, 48, 51, and 49, flirting with double-doubles and triple-doubles in here. Really good. I don't know what happened the other night, but the fact that he scored 0 points, played 33 minutes, and still found a way to hit 20 fantasy points. This is the guy that needs to be rostered for the Minnesota Timberwolves. We like that he's dual eligible as well. So Kyle Anderson, definitely at the top of the list. TJ McConnell, he's been on our list. He made the show last week. He continues to just ball out right now. He got a starting spot in the game the other day against Phoenix. This was yesterday. Puts up 49 fantasy points. He put up 56 fantasy points against Milwaukee last weekend too. And this all coincides with the absence of Tyrese Halliburton. So you can see Halliburton kind of left. I can't remember if it was the 11th or the 8th game where he got injured. But ever since Halliburton put on the shelf, McConnell's been one of the best players in fantasy basketball. You can see 39, 37, 38, 56, a 20 and a 14. Those are the low moments, but 49. So the dude's balling out. He's a top 50 player if Tyrese Halliburton remains out. So triple-double last night against the Phoenix Suns, looking really, really strong here. Only 20% rostered right now, and this is probably the last chance to get him. I'm not sure when Halliburton's coming back. I think he's getting reevaluated in 2 weeks. So we're probably at maybe next week during this week 15. We're going to get some update on Halliburton. There might be another week or two of stud McConnell left. Up next is Cameron Johnson, 17.7% rostered. The dude missed a lot of time. He missed like all of December, all of January, maybe even parts of November. Really good player, really strong young player here. And the Phoenix Suns are they're hurting. They have so many injuries across all their positions. And they're going to ease him back into the lineup. The fact that he put up 22 minutes was a really strong debut here. 19 points, so we can't expect him to put that up all the time. But 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks. That's a 5-category player here. Probably your last chance to get him before we see his numbers spike high. He's already seen an increase of 8%, so this might be your last chance to get Cam Johnson. He did not play on the 21st, which was yesterday. It looks like he's going to play today against Memphis, so they're going to be very cautious with him. They're going to probably split him on when you see, back-to-back games. He's going to either play the front end or the back end. So highly productive player here for the Phoenix Suns. We'll see if he can be available in your league. Norman Powell, 27% rostered, averaging 29 points per game, dual eligible. He's a really consistent scorer. I love that he's been in double digits for 9 straight games. He'll get you rebounds, assists, and steals and whatnot in the occasional block. But Norman Powell continues to be a huge part of the Clippers. And on games where they rest Kawhi or Paul George, now that he's back, Powell's going to have a big blow up there. Harrison Barnes, 60% rostered. He's probably, taken in most leagues here, but if you play in an 8 or 10-man league and someone dumped him, sure, pick up Harrison Barnes. Victor Oladipo, we've been talking about him the last couple of weeks because the dude's just been balling out ever since about New Year's. He's been a guy that in a 12-man league, this is a very key points per game guy for your roster. And he's going to get you like real life points. But the fact that he chips in rebounds, assists, steals, he'll get the occasional block. He's like a 4-category player, playing very, very well. 23 and 22 seem to be his low points here, but otherwise he's been averaging a little bit north of 30 fantasy points. Bruce Brown for the Denver Nuggets here, 27.7% rostered, 29 points per game over the last few days. So very consistent scorer. You can see the double digits the last 4 games here. He'll get you rebounds, assists, and steals, and he even gets blocks really consistently too. So he's a 5-category player here, pretty high floor, 12-man league. This is what you want. Let's look at Mason Plumlee. He's been on the show for like the Waiver Wire show for the last 2 months. The fact that he's still under 60% rostered, averaging 43 points per game over the last 7 days. Dude's as consistent as they come. He's kind of a walking double-double. He'll get you assists and steals in there as well. Pick up Mason Plumlee if you're playing a shallower league. We'll shout out Brandon Clark, Clint Capella, Damian Lee for the Phoenix Suns. Now, again, we mentioned that they've been kind of ravaged with injuries. I'm thinking this coincides with the absence of Booker and Chris Paul lately. But as long as 1 or 2 of those guys remain out, same with Cameron Payne, as long as those guys are out, Damian Lee looks like a guy that you could add for the short-term run here. And then Alperen Sengun's been on a run lately. He's been averaging 53 points per game over the last 7 days. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, another Denver Nugget here that I really, really like. Good afternoon to Justin. Hope you're doing well, my man. Just covering the waiver wire news for week 15 of fantasy basketball. But KCP, on the season, he's been averaging 21.8. But over the last 7 days, he's bumped that up just a little bit. He's been playing pretty consistently. I love that he gets a ton of minutes. He's a starter for the Nuggets. On a bad game, he'll get you 29, 30 minutes. The consistent scoring, for the most part, he'll hit double digits. But he's touching all the big categories. And look at the steals. If you play in a steal category league, 3, 3, 3, 2, 2, 2, just tons of steals lately here. So very productive player. If you play in a 12-man league, I love KCP here. And then I want to try and find some more obscure guys here because one of the best pickups that you can get this week is going to be Jericho Sims. We did see that Mitchell Robinson has been put on the shelf for at least 3 weeks. They're going to reevaluate him. He's got a thumb injury. He had surgery, and Mitchell Robinson got hurt on the 18th here. They put Jericho Sims in there for 21 minutes. He played okay, but in the game where he started, you see 28 minutes, 12 points, 8 rebounds, 2 steals, and 27.25 points. So if you're playing in a 10-man league, he's fringe. He's probably going to be the worst guy on your team, but I really like his potential in 12-man leagues because if you can get a guy that's going to put up 25, 27 points per game, this is your guy. And we get a 3-week reevaluation period while Mitchell Robinson's out. So I highly encourage looking for Jericho Sims. We're going to see his number of rostership spike this week. So if you're watching this, please go check out Jericho Sims. I wish he was dual eligible. Maybe we'll get some center eligibility from him. But nonetheless, Jericho Sims, the cover guy here. Yeah, Damian Lee, Brandon Clark playing pretty well. No Jokic. Jokic has been bugging me because he's been out a lot, missing more games than he has been. But I'm gonna try and see if I can find any more players here that will trip our sensors and make sure we can add these guys here. So I'm just filtering last 7 days. We're going to hit the average button here, and I'm going to roll down the rostership and see if anything sticks out. Let's see here. Mason Plumlee, again, I can't believe that he's under 60% rostered. He must be in some crazy leagues. But Kyle Anderson, man, he's tripping the sensors here. Again, 23% rostered. He's averaging 42 points per game over the last few days. Go pick up Kyle Anderson if you can. Let me see here. There's Walker Kessler. We covered him at the top of the show. Let me go to page 2. Now we're under about 38 points per game here, so you should be able to find some of these guys. Again, I mentioned Cam Johnson. He's gonna miss some games if they have back-to-backs, but as long as he's playing and getting minutes up and up and up, like they put him 22 minutes in his first game, so as long as he keeps hitting the 22-25 minute mark, he's going to be productive. We mentioned TJ McConnell. Let's look at Alex Caruso. Now, this is an interesting guy. He's only 10.5% rostered. The season, he's averaging 19.7 points per game. But you look at his last 7 day stats compared to the season stats, minutes are up about 2 minutes per game. Points are up about 1.5 points. Rebounds have doubled from 2.9 to 6. He's getting 1.5 more assists. He's almost getting 1.5 more steals. And the blocks have spiked here. He had a 3-block game the other day here. So he's on a nice little heater of 31, 38, and 39 fantasy points. He's going to get you 4 or 5 categories most nights. Really highly recommend here. I think this correlates with the injury to with DeMar DeRozan. So I'm not sure how much longer he's out, but as long as there's minutes available here for Caruso and Zach LaVine. So we'll see. Caruso looks like a pretty nice pickup at the moment, though. Let me see if I can find another one. Jalen Duren. There's also one other guy I want to call up, but Jalen Duren for the Pistons. Let's see. He's finally back. He missed a handful of games here, but before his little absence, the dude was putting up 27, 28, 30. You see 37, 39, 25. He comes back in and gets a double-double in 18 minutes. He's going to touch 5 categories for you. So it's good to see him get back on the floor. And man, if he starts hitting, upper 20s and 30 minutes per game, you got a guy here who's only 10% rostered, and he's going to be in for a really nice stretch of the season because the Pistons got nothing to play for. They're going to play their young guys. Go pick up Jalen Duren if you can. Really nice player here that's going to just continue to get more minutes as the season dwindles. Here we go. DeLon Wright. Now, I'm frustrated because this was the guy that I picked up. We talked about him on Waiver Wire shows maybe a month ago when he was missing a lot of time. I think he had a hamstring injury. He was missing a lot of time in December. He comes back, and then look at the minutes. 15, 17, 15. But lately, the last 5 games, you see 24, 22, 28, 25, and 25 minutes. Now look at the fantasy points. 22, 16, 25, 34, and 40 last night. So the minutes are trending upwards. If he can be in that 24 to 28 minutes per game pocket, this is a guy that needs to be rostered in 10 and 12-man leagues. And this is, keep in mind, this is with Bradley Beal back as well. So the fact that he's putting up his best fantasy points in this stretch with a healthy Bradley Beal is very important. 15, 3 rebounds, 8 assists, 3 steals. He'll get a block every now and then, but really strong 4-category player here, DeLon Wright. Under 4% rostered. And yeah, his last 7 days, dude's averaging 33 fantasy points per game. So please go ahead and pick him up. Josh Okogie went off last night. He had a career game. Very inconsistent, though. It depends on his minutes, but 57 points last night. You'll have to try and pluck him off the waiver wire if you want to steal a guy for a game or two. And then I want to find maybe one more guy. So here, I'll do it this way. So I play in a competitive 12-team league. I'm just going to filter by what's available and show you guys, like, when I go to the waiver wire, this is what I'm looking at. So these are all guys that are, when you hit the plus minus, they're all 2%ers. But I wanted to mention where is Saban Lee's playing well. And again, these averages, Joe Ingles for the Milwaukee Bucks, been putting up a lot of points. He's going to be missing games every now and then, but it looks like his minutes have been really, really high lately. Giannis has been in and out of the lineup. Good afternoon to you, Aiden. We got a big fun day of football. I'm looking for the one guy, though. Here, let me hit fantasy. Let me hit averages. Where is he? Tari Eason. This is who I was looking for. All right, so this is a guy for the Houston Rockets. If you play in a 12-man league, I've been thinking about adding him just because I'm hoping this minutes starts to trickle up. He got his first start in a long time here. Ended up getting 14 points, 9 rebounds, 1 assist, 27 minutes. He has not touched 27 minutes in a long time. But if this trend continues, you're looking at a guy that, okay, so here you see the 20-minute games, 2020. And he gets 20 points and 31 points. And yeah, we were looking at, I think it was maybe 2 Tuesdays ago, we were looking at Tari with you on the live show. But man, if he can find a way to hit 20 minutes minimum, he's going to be a productive player, especially in 12-man league. So check out Tari Eason. He's a guy that has tripped my sensors. Grant Williams has been playing well. Interesting to see Kuminga. Now that he's back in the fold, can he maintain these minutes? Because the problem with the Warriors is, man, like they give rest to Thompson, they give rest to Draymond, they give rest to all those guys. So if he can kind of figure out a way to maintain 25, 27 minutes per game, Kuminga is a guy we'll keep an eye on. But that's it. That's the majority of guys I wanted to cover. So hopefully you guys can find them. Look at Jericho Sims. And if you guys have anyone that I did not talk about in the show, please leave the comment, man. We want to help everybody get their fantasy rosters better. But that's going to do it for this one. Is Reggie Jackson an ad with no wall? Let me look real quick. I'm able to pull that back up. So, I mean, there's definitely short-term ads. I'm not sure how long is John Wall out for. Let's look that up real quick. Here, I'm just going back to ESPN. I want to see what is the blurb. Thoughts on Wall. Kessler is an ad for the rest of the season, man. If you can get him, he deserves to be picked up. I mean, I get it if you play in like an 8-man league, he's kind of on the fringe, but as long as you're playing in a 10 or 12-man league, he needs to be picked up. So this is a note from last Sunday. John Wall said, Tyronn Lue said John Wall had been diagnosed with an abdominal strain and will be reevaluated in 2 weeks. So we've already lost a week of no John Wall, but he's going to get reevaluated. Here, let me go back to that. So we're looking at the Clippers. Let me see here. Go to the clips. Alrighty. So over the last 7 days, the Clipper guys. Here, I should probably just pull this up in a screen share for you guys. All right, so with no John Wall for the last week or so, this is what it's been. So I mean, they got Paul George back now. So their top guys are Kawhi, Paul George, Zubac here, Norman Powell. There's Terrence Mann. Reggie Jackson hasn't really been the guy. You see the minutes 15, 14, 20, and 23. So in his absence, or John Wall's absence, it really hasn't been Reggie Jackson. It looks like it's been Terrence Mann. Because Mann, starting on the 15th, he gets 41 minutes, 32, 26, and 21. So that's a couple bad games in there, but he does have the 25 and the 45. So he's more of a streaky shooter. So yeah, someone drop Jalen, pick him up, man. And Fultz must be rostered, yes sir. Yeah, but overall, not super excited about the Clippers. I would say these top 5 guys are really the only ones that we're looking at. And then someone dropped Duren. I just want to make sure. Yeah, well, because he missed a little bit of time. He missed about a week and a half, almost 2 weeks here. So this is again, we're at that point of the season now where you're talking like the Pistons, the Rockets. Like you want to start adding these guys that are going to get more and more time as in a 12-man too. That's fantastic. Yeah, you want to start adding some of those junky teams, like the guys that they're going to play the rest of the way. So yeah, oh man, you got to have fantasy basketball. You got to have no waivers. I like playing no waivers. You can just add guys every day, and as soon as you cut somebody, they're not sitting there for a day or two. So, but anyways, that's gonna do it, guys. For me, we got an hour and a half till kickoff here, so I'm excited about the football day. Good luck to you guys with your football bets, and enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Have a good one. Peace.